If you're ambitious but burned out from grinding, this is exactly for you. Because burnout isn't just being tired. Being tired is sort of like your muscles just being sore. If you're fucking burned out, it's like a muscle industry. If you try to push through and you just grind through the burnout, push through the muscle industry, you're fucked. You have to genuinely heal the injury first, and then, okay, fine, grind as much as you want. So heal the burnout first. And I know this works because that's exactly what allowed me to build up a solo income of 103K, which allowed me to quit this job, even though it was extremely time demanding, and also make videos right here. You can see I was very consistent, uploading either 1 time or 2 times per week in my free time. And I have this cheese grater right here. And if you're still not convinced, you want some more proof, look at this burned out boy right here. Do I look like that same burned out boy? I'm pretty happy, right? I'm not burned out anymore, and I am actually financially free. Okay, so now that you are adequately convinced, it is time for me to deliver the goods right into your brain. First, and most crucially, you probably relate burnout to energy, right? You think you don't have enough energy. Well, where do you get most of your energy? Like 90% of your energy comes from one place. That is your sleep, right? And you've probably tried to sleep better before. And typically, how does that go for you? You just sleep more hours. Maybe you try some melatonin. You maybe play with the lights. You get some morning sunlight. But you don't have an actual specific thing. Like, okay, I do exactly this, and that's how I get the absolute maximum quality of sleep. It's not about just getting duration. Honestly, you don't even have time to get duration, right? So the framework that you use, it is QQRT framework. That's what you should implement yourself. This is by a sleep expert called Matt Walker. Best sleep expert in the world, has written a book, has a website on why we sleep. Literally, that's the title. If you want to do more research, you can search him up, Matt Walker, or of course, just listen to me. I'll give you the very basics and the practical basics that I actually just use myself. So that, and also just aim to wake up naturally for 1 week. Or honestly, if you can, always just wake up naturally. And I'll get into exactly what this means. The energy from quality sleep is the best preventative against getting derailed, getting burned out, anything like that. So QQRT, what exactly is this? There's 4 letters and each letter stands for something. It is quality, quantity, regularity, and timing. So quality sleep is how deep are you actually going into the different rhythms. I think you probably know sleep is about 90-minute intervals, and then like right when you go in, that's usually like sort of the REM sleep area. But when you first fall asleep, you typically just fall right into the deeper ends of sleep, and then you slowly go into deep sleep, and you start to peak up, and that's when you usually go into REM, and you go through these cycles throughout the night. The deeper you go, that is the higher quality sleep, and typically you go deeper throughout the night. It's like this type of thing. You go deep, and as you get in more cycles, you go deeper and deeper. So if you want to get the most quality sleep, you don't get interrupted, and you go for as long as possible. And what also affects your sleep is, of course, the things that you eat. If you eat like a fuck ton of sugar right before you go to sleep, you're going to have all the energy, and it's going to prevent you from going deep. And then also like caffeine or drinking alcohol or getting super bright lights in the middle of the night, it's all going to affect your ability to go deep and deeper over time. So get rid of all that stuff for the quality. Then you have quantity. I think you know what quantity is, and that's what most people relate to quality. Although it's related, like, you get deeper, but it's not 100% tied. But it is in its own category. Quantity is simply just getting the hours in. Ideally, you want to sleep anywhere between 8 and 9 hours, ideally up to 9. But the key for quantity is, you're getting enough is if you can't fall asleep. Like if you're sitting there and you fall asleep on the train when you're sitting there, or just sitting in a chair, watching a movie, reading a book, you probably need more sleep. If you are able to go to sleep, that means your body is saying that you should sleep more. So get as much sleep as you are able to, and you get enough quantity. I know you don't have enough time to sleep, which is why I'll get into that in a second, but let me go on here first and finish the framework. You have regularity. What regularity is very simply this point right here when you're actually going to sleep. When is it? Is it 10 o'clock? Is it 9 o'clock, so more early, or is it 11 o'clock, or you're going to sleep anywhere between like 9 o'clock if you're tired, all the way up to like 2 a.m. Ideally, you want to go to sleep within 15 minutes of each other, because just like how your body creates cycles within sleep, your body has cycles throughout the day. And if you're able to anchor a single point, which is like, okay, this is sleep time, your body gets into the rhythm of going into sleep, and then is allowed to just, go into sleep. And then as you get in more cycles, you go deeper and deeper. So go even deeper. So Matt Walker recommends about 15 minutes. I typically just go to sleep around 10 o'clock. For you, that could be really anything, but know that going to sleep at a consistent time does matter. And of course, building consistency in one area of your life that is so fundamental helps in building consistency in other areas of your life. Last, of course, is timing. And timing, you might be thinking, oh, well, it sounds the same as regularity, but not exactly. So I mentioned I still go to sleep at 10 o'clock. This has to do with your chronotype. I'm more of a morning person. I honestly feel much better and I feel much more energized when I wake up earlier in the day, or maybe around 6 or 7. And for you, that could be different. Like, for example, my brother, he is literally most energized apparently at like around 11 to 12 and maybe up to like 1 a.m. So he's kind of the night owl type of person. And he much rather wake up around 10 a.m. So figure out where you are for you. And I know you might not be the most flexible with your time if you have a job, but try your best to go to sleep as early as possible, and then you can do other things in the morning. If you're a morning person or a night person, then try to shift it later without actually compromising on your quantity of sleep as much as possible. And how do you find this? The easiest thing to do, like there's tons of chronotype quizzes out there, just take one of those. Although I don't know if they're the most accurate, I think the best thing to do is just wake up at different times. When do you feel the most energized? Or just in general, when do you feel the most energized? Are you actually, like you feel that your brain is the most energized at the end of the day towards the evening? Like you're very articulate is a very good way to gauge whether you're actually energized. Or are you like the most articulate, the most well-performing brain, the quickest right in the beginning of the day? Then maybe it's more person, or it's maybe slightly in the later morning, then you're sort of like in the middle. That's how you figure it out. Now, getting to the next part, which I think is super crucial, but is hard while you still have a job, but I would try to do anyways, is stop depending on your alarm clock. Because what your alarm clock does is you're in some sort of cycle. Let's say you could be in pretty deep sleep and it suddenly just pulls you out. So you feel like absolute shit, even if you've got quite a long amount of sleep, like maybe 7 hours. You're unnaturally interrupted. So you can do two things. It's either literally wake up when you naturally wake up, and you can set your alarm a little bit later than you would normally need to wake up, like at the latest time you could possibly go. And if you've got a very good regularity, you will actually just wake up before the alarm, and then you can turn the alarm off, and your body will just kind of like naturally get into the cycle of waking up at that time. Or the other thing that you could do, in what I did in the beginning when my schedule was really erratic, is since I know that these cycles are 90 minutes, in anytime I'll go to sleep, I'll just plan out when is the interval that I can wake up at the 90-minute mark. You'll feel more alert when you wake up, and that's honestly good enough for me. So those two things. And the concept that I like to think of, it's like you're stopping a rice cooker halfway. If you stop the rice cooker halfway, you're going to have hard, crunchy rice, and it's not going to be enjoyable. You're not going to have an enjoyable day, versus you let your rice cooker finish, you let it tick to a certain point, then instead of having a half-cooked brain, then you actually have you're fully baked or whatever, right? So now, if you really can't get any of those things, like you're irregular because your job, your timing is terrible, the quantity is terrible, if nothing else, get quality. That is the rule that I use when I had to work 80 hours a week, getting like 4 to 6 hours per day at the max. And then on the weekends, I would sleep like 16 hours. So I mentioned these things lightly already, but for quality, keep it as dark as possible at night so your brain is allowed to release the chemicals required. And typically melatonin, your brain will naturally produce it and let you go into deep as possible sleep. You keep it cool in your bedroom. I think around 60 to maybe like 65 is good, depending on you and your blankets. Just trying to find what works well. You get sunlight in the morning, which will, I'm not going to get into the details of how the science works, but you can get your cortisol up so you're most awake. And literally, I would, like basically stare into the sun, not exactly, while I was taking my Uber ride to work, and wake myself as much as possible. And the way sleep works is if you have your cortisol levels higher in the night, in the daytime, at nighttime, they'll actually drop lower and allow you to easier fall into sleep. And on top of that, couple before you're going to sleep with a warm shower. That drop in temperature, quick drop in temperature, will allow your body to, again, not only have an anchor point if you do consistently of an activity that gets you into sleep mode, but also as something that literally gets you into deeper sleep faster. Then you could turn on blue light filters. Okay, I realize there's a typo here. Turn on blue light filters so you're not like mimicking sunlight at night, which I don't know exactly how it works. Maybe it releases cortisol, releases certain chemicals in your brain to wake you up, which is not good. Or wear blue light blocking glasses, which for myself I have, and maybe you've seen in other videos that I've worn, but I wear that. Basically, if I see the sun is going down outside, I'll just put this on to just make sure that I'm always mimicking the sun going down. And final thing, and I know this is a lot, but all these little things do add up, especially when you're in a shitty situation like I was and you're burned out, is washing your face with cold water in the morning so you can help your body wake up. Again, that cold water is like a slight cortisol spike, and that allows you to have the same effect as almost like sunlight. And it's another anchor point, all these things. So that is sleep. Now, what is the other thing that has to do with your energy? The actual inputs to your body. If you have good inputs, you're going to have good output. And that literally is not only output as your physical body itself, but output as your ability to do things, take action with your body. So that is eating. And I literally wrote in here, this is a simple one. Don't eat anything with added sugars or seed oils. It will make you dumb and tired. And also the fact that if you crack in one area of your life, you start taking a donut, you start eating sugar, you eat that Snicker bars, there's a good chance you're going to crack in more areas of your life. You're going to fall off in your habits. You're going to start gooning in your basement. You're going to do things that you don't want to do. And I know this for a fact because in college, and I know this was before I worked, but I didn't know about all these seed oils and all these sugars and whatnot. So I survived off fried rice and canola oil. I would put in like maybe a quarter bottle, not even joking, a quarter bottle of canola oil into a pot. Then I would take my rice and I would just pour it in there and essentially like deep fry the rice, and I would throw in like some fucking Chinese sausage and maybe little bits of meat, and I would have like deep fried, super oily fried rice, and I would eat that. And all the time throughout college, I would basically be retarded. I couldn't do anything in my free time except play video games. I did the absolute bare minimum that I needed to pass. I mean, I still got good grades, but regardless of that, in order to do anything, I went to sleep at a relatively reasonable time. I went to sleep at like 12 o'clock every single day, but I didn't wake up until 2 p.m. So I slept maybe 14 hours on the daily. I woke up and I would feel like my arms are like lead. I could barely open my eyelids. And typically I would just roll over. I'd feel so bad. So the only thing I did was like play video games. And after a little while, I was like, oh, fuck, banging out my schoolwork. And no matter how much sleep I got, I was just fucking tired. So the diet does matter. I changed it now to just regular food. Like, I eat meats, I eat vegetables, I eat nuts, I eat fruits, and not highly processed shit, and has high nutrition. So that's what I do. If you do want to learn more, and I got all the concepts from a book called Genius Foods. It's by Max Lugavere, very smart guy. His mom got, I don't remember exactly the disease. I think she got Alzheimer's and then she died relatively early in his life. And he thought, and his family thought that, she was always relatively healthy. Like, what could have went wrong? But the thing is, she was eating like a fuck ton of seed oils and sugars and all these things. So I highly recommend you read it if you want to just learn the mechanism of how things work, how things damage your body, and what you can do instead. But if I were to summarize the entire books, it is very literally no sugar, no seed oils, and in general, no super processed things. If it is an animal outside that is walking around or a plant that you can see, it is probably okay. And by the way, you might be thinking at this point, like, how the fuck am I going to fit all this shit in my schedule? You're a high-skilled employee, you're a business owner, you're an investor, and you want to be able to get unstuck from these sort of thoughts and be able to get feedback from other people that are working on the same goal, financial freedom, or have already done it like myself, and just get that feedback to get unstuck really quickly. If that is the case, well, I built something exactly for that. It's a free community that you can join. If you're interested, it's top link in the description. You can check it out. And now last thing is exercise. Although you might be thinking like, holy fuck, if I'm burned out and I'm so tired, why the hell would I exercise? I'm just going to burn up more energy and I'll be more burned out and it's going to be terrible. But that is not the case. Just work out in whatever way you can stick to. have a strong body, and this is going to be a strong mind. Less people in the world have a six pack than $1 million. Think of it like a side mission to level up your discipline. So it's not really about pushing. Like, don't push yourself if you can't do like the 30 pull-ups that you want to do. If you can only do one pull-up in your workout, just do one pull-up, just do one set. You get your blood flow going. You make sure your muscles are staying muscles. You make sure your six pack is still a six pack. And then not only will like the halo effect and all these things be going into play if you're talking about like emotional type stuff and you just feeling better about yourself, but very literally it gets the blood flow going. The blood goes to your brain. Certain hormones, certain chemicals are released from your brain every single time you exercise. It does things to reduce inflammation. Of course, if you go to a point, it's going to do the opposite. But regardless, it can reduce inflammation, which will help clear the brain fog, very literally help you think better in the following days. So that is why you do exercise. And the way you do it best is don't listen to anyone else. Don't listen to anyone else. If you're burned out, you have to do the thing that is least resistance. So choose a form of exercise that you don't hate. If you like lifting weights, lift weights. If you like free weights, do free weights. If you like calisthenics, then do calisthenics. If you just like to do cardio, or you just, you enjoy running, you like riding a bike, then do that instead. You don't have to build strength like everybody says. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, look like a body like everybody says. I did mostly body weight. Since it's very easy to do, like I would very literally, when I was working this job and had to be in the office all the time, when I take my bathroom breaks, I wouldn't be pissing in the urinal. I would be pissing in the toilet stalls, and I'll just like bang out a couple push-ups on the floor. It was a clean bathroom, don't worry, or do a couple of squats. So pick what works for you. And just don't worry about anyone else. Like literally my coworkers, every single one of them, they'd be, like give me the side eye. Like, what the fuck are you doing in there? Coming out of breath, like actually coming out of the bathroom like that. Don't worry about it. You're working on escaping and they're doing whatever the hell they're doing. And of course, to do this most effectively, you should make some sort of schedule. So for me, when I was in my job, it was just a Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, because I found getting anything in during the week was insanely hard. I started with actually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But of course, if you're working 80 hours a week and you're barely getting sleep, now you're starting to sacrifice sleep in order to exercise, and that's not a good trait. So instead, I shifted to just weekends and do a Wednesday to keep at the 3 days a week. That worked best for me. For you, do whatever you'd like. And I just do full body every single time to keep it simple. Then finally is stick to the schedule no matter what. Although don't make up for anything. So like if, for example, your schedule was exactly the same as mine, if on Wednesday, for whatever reason, you're just so fucking run down and you have no time and you're going to cut into your sleep, just do one set if you normally do 3. Or if you normally only do like 5 reps, well, just do fucking 1 rep and then take a shower and go to sleep. And then once Saturday comes around, don't make up for it. So like if you only do 10 reps, don't do 20 now, because look at the nature of your job. Look at the nature of your situation. You already have no time. You know for a fact that if you start now stacking and making up for work, you're going to have less and less time. And by having less and less time, to be honest, that amount of work is just going to stack up more and more. And then you're going to fail, and then you're going to fall off, and then you're going to stay burned out. And you're honestly already burned out. Again, you don't want to make up for this shit and burn yourself out more. So back to the root of it, it's all about being consistently putting in effort. And at the very least, although maybe the consistency won't be building your muscle, building your cardio, just that little bit of stimulation for the muscle is actually going to allow it to stay built up. And I know this for a fact because I just do it myself. But if you want a better example, Dorian Yates, he is a Mr. Olympia bodybuilder. He literally says this himself. Podcast by him and Andrew Huberman. If you want to listen to it, and just go search it up. And also, if you do have trouble sticking to any workout and you want something that you can get in with minimal amount of time, I also recommend implementing Grease the Groove. So it's essentially just breaking up your workout throughout the day. Like for myself, it was those bathroom breaks. I would just get in a set. For you, it could be a little different, but either way, I recommend, if you want to learn more about that, there's a podcast with Andrew Huberman and Pavel Satsulin, I don't know exactly how to say his name, but very useful. So now you have the sleep, you have the eating regimen, and you have the exercise routine in order to overcome burnout and then see the path forward to your version of financial freedom. Although you may have some internal doubt, the people around you may be spewing poison into your brain, making you doubt yourself, and you're thinking like, okay, maybe this is it for life. Maybe I can't achieve that. Maybe everyone else is right. If that is the case to you, you want to watch this video right here on how I achieved financial freedom despite of that. Fully clear that doubt away, be fully committed towards your goal despite everyone else, and that commitment is what is going to get you to where you want to go.